Great to be back with you once again on a fresh new edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Shrinate, and straight on to yet another topic that we are discussing on the ongoing skirmish between India and Pakistan. And the question that we are asking is the matter being politicized? Are concerns about politicization valid at all? The Congress party has criticized the ruling party, and in fact 21 members of the opposition have. Remember, B.S. Yeddyurappa, former chief minister of the BJP, has said that they will win 22 additional seats out of 28 in Karnataka. Now, Amit Shah asked for votes as far as the airstrikes are concerned in Ghazipur. Political parties, are they politicizing a national security matter, and how dangerous is that? Is de-escalation the only option right now? Should the opposition have waited till the crisis was over? Many questions that we will have to raise right here on the India Development Debate this evening. I'm Supriya Shrinate, and joining us on this show, Tilak Deveshar, former Special Secretary, Government of India and Pakistan expert. Sanjay Jha represents the Congress Party, and Gopal Krishna Agarwal represents the BJP. So thank you very much, all of you, for being with us. And Mr. Deveshar, if I'll ask you, has the security situation in the country been politicized, and where does the blame lie?
You know, I am very uncomfortable in answering political questions. I don't want to get involved in that. I am a professional. And if you have any professional questions to ask, I'd love to answer them. But getting into the politics of it is best left to politicians to handle.
Fair point indeed. So just stay with us, and I will go across to the politicians, and I will come back to you in a minute from now. And Sanjay Jha, the opposition has come down heavily and hard over politicization. You've blamed the government for politicizing it. You've criticized the government. There are two questions that I want to raise. The fact is that some of what the opposition said has been used by Pakistan to lash out against India. Do you believe you could have waited till the crisis was over before coming down heavily upon the government? Let's get the questions out of the way first.
Supriya, I think that is a brilliantly unfair question. Yeddyurappa, the former BJP Chief Minister of Karnataka, goes public and says thanks to the Pakistan-India hostilities and India making an airstrike, the BJP will win 22 seats in Karnataka. Now, for God's sake, this is a public statement made by a tall leader of the BJP. It is in the public domain. It's for the world to see. We are not living in an age of, barriers on communication, right? So when he makes a statement on television, it is there on social media, the entire world picks it up. And that's what the Pakistan media actually went to town on, to say how in our country, such a sensitive cross-border tension at the moment, you still have the Wing Commander Abhinandan in Pakistan, and you have a political party that is playing to the gallery for electoral gains. And I'll be very honest, I'm speaking to you more as a citizen of this country. It is shameful, it's disgusting, it's sickening. And, I say this with full responsibility, that no political party's spokesperson or representative should ever kind of use this kind of language. But why blame Yeddyurappa alone? Amit Shah, one day after the Pulwama terror attack, went around campaigning for votes. Narendra Modi has gone around shooting a documentary and saying the same thing again and again.
Sanjay,
my blood boils, but don't worry, the country is safe in my hands.
Sanjay, give me a minute.
These are all political statements. They are loaded.
Okay,
this is
Sanjay
what we
Jha,
call as dog whistle politics. It's disgusting. And the BJP needs to apologize to the people.
Sanjay Jha, give me a minute. I will go across to Gopal Krishna. Sanjay Jha, give me a minute. We've got to keep this civil. Please understand, this is an extremely sensitive time. One of our Indian Air Force pilots is still in the captivity of Pakistan, so we've got to make very responsible comments here. Gopal Agarwal, what Sanjay Jha said is partly true. You did have your leader and a former chief minister of the BJP, Yeddyurappa, saying, and he's not an insignificant leader, that 22 out of the 28 seats in Karnataka are going to be won. You had your party president Amit Shah use airstrikes to appeal to voters in Ghazipur. Isn't this blatant politicization?
No, I think what happens is that we should understand that there is a marked difference on the reaction, the way current government acted with the provocations by the Pakistan terrorists. That's very important. And there is a marked difference in how earlier it was being covered up, or how the reaction was of the previous government and this government. Therefore, just mentioning that, and I am telling you that we have been very categorically restrained in all our spokespersons were very much restrained, that we only were talking for not even for 12 days since when the Pulwama attack came, and we always said, even after this air strike in the Pakistan terrorist camps, we said that this is not a revenge, this is a preemptive action. So if even political party like us are talking about preemptive action, this was the line with our army was taking, our Ministry of Defense spokesperson was taking, and if we are repeating that, how do you consider it politicizing the issue? Yeddyurappa, what Yeddyurappa said, you should depend, what Rahul Gandhi said is an important issue, what Prime Minister has said, and what about, but ultimately what we are saying is that the way this opposition parties gave a statement, there was a brief comment by our Prakash Javadekar, but it was used by Pakistani government to bash India. So there was a potential, nobody will deny, but Yeddyurappa's statement, no.
Ridiculous nonsense.
Are you disowning Mr. Yeddyurappa's statement? Are you disowning the statement of Amit Shah?
No, it is not this. I am not the responsible person to own or disown. But what I am telling you is our spokespersons, etc., and leaders were well restrained in what line we should take. We will definitely respond. We will. We enjoyed. When our Air Force people striked on the terrorist camp, and that were destroyed. We everywhere enjoyed that. We celebrated that. Nobody is stopping that. If you call that as a politicizing,
okay,
I do not agree.
Give me a minute. I will come back to the politicians on the show in just a bit. No. You're not answering my question. You are telling me you did not blatantly politicize this. The reality is that your party president in Ghazipur said you should give us votes because we are a decisive government and we did the airstrikes in Pakistan. Your former chief minister is saying you will get 22 out of the 28 seats because these airstrikes have been done. I mean, if that is not politicization, I'm just wondering what is the definition. But give me a minute. I want to put petty politics at rest for a minute and go across to Tilak Deveshwar. And Mr. Deveshwar, there is one question that I had in mind when I heard the tri-services. Gopal Agarwal, I will come back to you. You and I can't speak at the same time. That is not how we do debates. You know that. You've been on plenty of my debates. Tilak Deveshwar, the question is, when the the service officials do a briefing like they just did, and an entire evidence is being produced there, is this unprecedented? Why is there such a pressing need to put evidence out, to give out details that are unnecessary, to give out details? I mean, is communication happening at the behest of public outcry?
You know, in this particular case, it's the DG ISPR in Pakistan that has been caught lying. If you recall in his press conference yesterday, the DG ISPR was categorical that no F-16s were used. Right? Now, I think it is very important that, and people keep saying, why don't you show evidence, why don't you show evidence? Here is the evidence that this particular missile can be fired only from an F-16, and the plane that crashed was an F-16, and the missile that he fired, and which was found on the Indian side, contains US markings. So, A, he lied. It was important to nail the lie and bring it out into the public domain. Second, as per the agreement that Pakistan has with the United States for supply of F-16s and missiles like this, they are meant to be used against terrorists. They're not to be meant to use against India. And that's why Pakistan is running scared that now that the US knows, the US has the evidence that despite their agreements, Pakistan has used these missiles and this aircraft against India. They are worried that what the US next steps the United States is going to take. So I think it is very important that this evidence is placed before in the public domain for the international media and for the world leaders to see the kind of lying state that Pakistan is. That is a very important piece of evidence.
Okay. Okay, fair point indeed, and I think nobody would doubt that. But Sanjay Jha, if I may come to you, besides whatever political considerations there may be that you are opposing, BJP, or you're in fact saying it's being politicized, will you at least agree that this was a very decisive response that had to be given to Pakistan? We've been at the receiving end of a very asymmetrical war with our neighbors, and a war that has seen our security forces bleed, a war where we've seen tensions escalate. Was it important to change that equation? We will no longer be at the receiving end. We will no longer, was it important to deliver that message to the deep state of Pakistan? At least you're going to agree with that?
Well, Supriya, let me tell you, there are 2 points here. There is no disputing the fact that the Pakistan's state-sponsored policy of bleeding India with 1,000 cuts is something that they have been doing with methodical precision over several decades now. And we have been, frankly speaking, the victim of that very ghastly terror attacks. And we saw what happened in Mumbai, and there have been a whole host of terror attacks, especially the LOC, since Mr. Modi became Prime Minister. The question that arises is twofold. One is a tactical response vis-a-vis a strategic response. And I want to answer your question because it's very pertinent. You see, when a military endeavor happens, it is deeply unfortunate that we have seen a new political culture of a government appropriating credit for it. There is actually a very timely, statement made by, I think, the wife of a soldier in India, who's put it out on social media requesting all political parties, particularly the Bharatiya Janata Party, to say, please stop usurping credit for the endeavors that we take, for the risks that our lives go through. And I think, therefore, it is important to delineate whatever is the political decision making that comes into play with the heroics of our military and our brave soldiers. The second point that we tend to ignore, the elephant in the room, Supriya, is the Kashmir problem. The whole, alienation of Kashmir. Don't forget that you have a suicide bomber, a young teenager who is, frankly, and let's agree with that, is a locally recruited militant, a terrorist. And that to me is the biggest worry and the failure of this government. You can say what you like, but the truth is Narendra Modi's government's monumental failure in Kashmir, that muscular macho policy, is costing India dear, because now Pakistan, fishing in troubled waters, is finding dangerously, I would say, inclined, militants who are willing to blow themselves up and kill our own people because they don't have to go too far. Nobody has to cross the border, and somebody has to take responsibility for it. Look at the intelligence failure. 600 pounds of explosives aggregated, assembled, transported and exploded in a high security zone where we are transporting some of our most,
Sanjay Jha, I will have to cut you short there. Sanjay Jha, I will have to cut you short there.
Nobody knows about that.
No, give me a minute. Sanjay Jha, no, Sanjay Jha, give me a minute. I will have to cut you short there. Let's stick to the questions that are being asked. And Gopal Agarwal, I think one of the things that the opposition has said is that why did the PM not call for an all-party meeting and attend it? He in fact left it to his deputies twice over. Don't you think he could have easily galvanized the opposition if he was present there? And this is being seen as a sign of arrogance. And I think the more important question that the opposition may not have, but the rest of us in the country do, that the Prime Minister has time to address booth workers and attend Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award and launch Khelo India and all of those apps, and he doesn't have time to address the country at a sensitive time like this?
Supriya, the issue is that anywhere there will be criticism on how there can be multiple way of response by anybody. The army, all the three chiefs should not have considered this press conference. Prime Minister should have done like this. There can be multiple options, and it is from the Prime Minister or the army chief or everybody to choose what they do. But the thing is, what is the outcome of the whole effort? I tell you that there has been a decisive response from the current government, and it is bringing result. When yesterday opposition people were preempting that the pilot Air Force pilot should not may be difficult for India to bring back, okay, the Prime Minister is acting on the ground, we are getting results, and that's because there is a decisive mechanism. When there was a Pulwama attack, how Imran Khan responded after that, that if India incurs anything misadventure,
so what
we
results
will
have you
do
got?
this, and now what is the response of Imran Khan? So there has this, Sanjay, just keep your mouth shut. I did not tell in between you. The thing is, there is a decisive difference of mechanism or the way the current Prime Minister is responding. It is bringing result, it is bringing positive result for the country, and the army has been given a free hand to act. And this is the same army which was under the UPA. What was their response? What they did? So if I talk to them on comparison basis, they will say you are politicizing. The issue is that the opposition is so perturbed by the credit flowing to the current government. When you are acting on any issue, the credit will be shared. Why Prime Minister will not have the benefit of decisive leadership? He has given the army free hand.
Credit
he has
for what?
participated
What have you done?
in the whole
what have you done?
Response.
What's your accomplishment?
But nobody is taking the credit from the army. Nobody is
done?
taking the credit from the Air
Will
Force.
you take responsibility
It is a
for 45
diplomatic
people
win
dying in
Sanjay,
by
this is not fair.
the
Will you
current
take
government.
Sanjay, this is
responsibility
not
for
fair.
CRPF
Diplomatic.
Sanjay, this
No,
is not
Mr.
fair.
Jha,
You cannot
I did not interfere
Sanjay, this
in
is not
between
fair.
your discussions.
No,
Mr.
Sanjay,
Jha, I did not
just one sec.
interfere in your
Oh, God.
discussion. You should not
Sanjay,
interfere in my discussion.
Sanjay, let him finish.
The issue
Sanjay, this is not
when
fair.
in the
You spoke at
diplomatic-
length and you were not interfered.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, Sanjay,
The
wait, we'll
issue
come
is
to you. Go ahead,
We have
go ahead.
been able to successfully put, yes, the issue is that the current government, our government has been successful in putting Pakistan in a corner. It has accepted the dossier, it has agreed to return the pilot, its response is very measured, and internationally it is finding difficulty in its current position. And United Nations is with us, France, Russia, even China. So I think it's a diplomatical measure by the government, and it's a collective credit. It should flow. Why everybody is not accepting that the credit should go to the Prime Minister? What is the? We are not taking the Air Force credit. We are saying
I'm sorry.
it's the
That is where
bravery
I
of the
disagree
Air
with
Force,
you.
But the decision part is from the.
No. This is, one second, where I completely disagree, with you, Gopal Krishna Agarwal. Let me finish talking now. I think both of you have spoken. It's my turn to speak. Where I completely disagree with you is, this is to the credit of our armed forces. Let's give them their due. And I don't think either of the two sides should be politicizing at least that part of the debate. But I will go across to Tilak Deveshwar because I have to close this very quickly. And Tilak Deveshwar, I think, what is the next step? Things obviously can't go back to being what they were pre-Pulwama, but things have to de-escalate. Given the fact that, opposition showed restraint, the government showed restraint, there was politics out of it for a while, that's now coming to fore. What do you believe the next obvious step in this de-escalation going to be? What happens from here on?
I personally feel that having shown the resolve and taken the courageous move of hitting Pakistan in Pakistan, we should not de-escalate mentally. Anytime in future, whenever Pakistan carries out a terrorist attack, we should be prepared to continue with the same level of resolve and hit Pakistan in Pakistan. So I don't think we should de-escalate as far as the mind is concerned. Yes, in terms of tensions, in terms of certainly there can be de-escalation but no deactivation. We should keep our powder dry and wait to see if Pakistan is actually going to dismantle the terrorist infrastructure that it has built up and which is aimed at India. We cannot allow it to be business as usual. We have drawn a line, call it Lakshman Rekha, a line in blood or whatever, this far and no further. We will not let Pakistan do anything. So that resolve, that cannot be de-escalated.
On that note, I've got to close the show here, completely out of time. Very quickly, I think the one word of caution should be that there is a grouse that the opposition has. This is being politicized. The BJP needs to rein in its leaders, its elected representatives to let that not happen. But the opposition also has to realize at a time like this, you need to play a more responsible role. You will get an opportunity to burn the hatchet. But I think all of this centers around one important fact, and that is elections. Could this be used to get political mileage? Could this be used with an eye on elections? I think is the big concern that is being raised across the political spectrum, and which is why we are seeing some amount of discomfort with that. Completely out of time on this edition of the India Development Debate. Thanks very much for being with us. There's plenty more that's happening right here on ET Now. Continue to watch us.